So, I am Margaret Williams. I help women who have been marginalized elevate their voices, stop surviving power systems, and start leading with freedom, influence, and authority. And I am so honored today to have with me again the street preacher. Okay. And today we're going to be talking about how faith and spirituality sustains us during chaotic times. Okay. So Mac here, Mac Devlin, also known as the street preacher, is an American writer, singer, artist, and digital content creator. He's also the author and host of the Mac Devlin Imperfect Speech. Okay, a Substack publication and multimedia platform where he shares his writing, live uh, uh, broadcast, and creative commentary. And he's often seen collaborating with numerous of content creators, including Ilias Shepherd Morrow. Okay? And I'm so happy to have you back here with us today. Okay, street preacher. And if you could talk to us about your leadership journey and what brought you to Substack.
Wow, that's a long story. So in 1984, I was diagnosed with Becker's muscular dystrophy, and kind of I hate to say it defined my life, but it did because I always felt like I was like in a secondary position because of it. So I didn't always feel seen, and I didn't feel seen within my family either. So just so many things happened to me growing up that were just pretty bad, and I didn't think I had any hope. And then I lost both of my parents, and like this may sound terrible, but my father passing away gave me some freedom from his tyranny a little bit. So I was able to I became a Christian, and I've just been on a journey of faith ever since then. My mom was a very spiritual person. She was a beautiful woman who she always told the truth, much to her detriment, and she made sure that I knew God and I knew God's love. So a lot of what I do, it's dedicated to her and her memory. So yeah, I when I joined a church, I started teaching classes about the life of Jesus to kids, and from there, it just kind of everything just went outward. From there, I joined the praise team, and I would sing in the choir. And now I lead an adult Bible study, and it's that's just that's kind of the long and short of my journey.
Wow, and so you use your platform to amplify independent voices, okay? And you are
Yes.
often frequently found, restacking and reviewing
Mhm.
pieces of literature and creative perseverance and personal transformation, okay? And you are
Mhm.
also a philanthropist also, okay? You use your platform to also to support charitable causes such as Make a Wish Foundation.
Right, and the Muscular Dystrophy Association, and the I forget what it's called, the MS Society as well, because I had an uncle with MS, and I saw how uh, like just it devastated him, and so I that's a cause that's close to my heart. And MDA, like it not only supports muscular dystrophy, it supports ALS as well, and that's something if I find a charity that's ALS related, I will share that, because that's such a devastating disease, and it's you can make life easier on those families by just giving a little bit of money each month.
Right? It's just like tithing. If you belong to a church, you're supposed to be what 10% or whatever. So I
Yeah,
look at it. I look at it this way: whatever you give out, you give back tenfold. If it's
mm.
good, good,
Yeah, yeah. And then
right?
whatever bad you put out there, you also I feel like you also get that back tenfold.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I try to be cognizant of that, and which is a part of Christian faith is doing the right things. But as we know, some of us what we feel is right may not necessarily be the same as what you feel is right.
Right. Yeah, we have different ideas of morality, and yeah, that's what it has to do with a lot of the division in our country is that we're divided along moral lines. And as far as politics go, I feel like if your morality is not upstream of your politics, then your politics is going to pollute your morality. So I think we should all have a moral compass upstream of our political views and things like that. And I feel like, and I feel like we all know, like when we're doing harm. I do feel like that's something we are aware of, and I think we just deny when we're doing harm. I think we're in a state of denial when we're hurting somebody, and we just don't want to say, this is my fault, this is my bad, I did this to you, I hurt you, and I'm sorry for doing that, because we don't want to accept the culpability for that. So it's, I don't know. I feel like, yeah, I feel like morality, we know what's right and wrong. We choose to ignore it a lot of the time.
And I have to agree with you. Growing up in a narcissistic family system,
Mm,
they knew exactly what they were doing, but they did it anyway.
right,
Okay. And that's the reason why a lot of us are walking around with trauma. Okay.
right, yeah,
And
yeah. I
so
mean,
we
yeah,
need to
I
recognize that.
right, yeah. We do need to recognize that. Yeah, sometimes they're in such a state of denial that they don't realize that they're doing you harm, and sometimes in those cases you do have to forgive even though you don't want to forgive. Like I forgave my father a long time ago, even though I didn't want to. I still don't. I still, am in that place where I don't know why I forgave him, but it was better for me because I couldn't carry around his hate in my heart. And recognizing that he had hate in his heart, I made a conscious choice that I'm not gonna go through life with hate in my heart. I'm not gonna be like him. So in a way, he taught me an important lesson. He taught me the wisdom of that. His brutality for me, the impact of it on me was a form of wisdom that he bestowed upon me. That I'm not going to act like you. I'm not going to behave like you. I'm not going to hit my kids. I'm not going to scream at my wife. I'm not going to do this or that. I'm going to be as positive and loving as possible in my life.
I'm glad you said that because I made that conscious choice as well. And
Mhm.
we all, each and every one of us have demons, okay? Because of the things
Mhm.
that we've
Oh yeah.
seen, the
Oh yeah.
things that we've experienced, the abuse that we've
Right.
experienced. And you say to yourself, if I ever am able to get out of this situation, I am never
Hmm.
going to be like this person. I will never do these things. But the very thing you say you won't do, you end up doing. Okay. and
Yeah.
and and you end up recognizing, you know what, I'm just like my father. So what can I do
Just
instead? What can I do
yeah.
instead? Right.
Yeah, that's a terrifying thought. I'm just like my father. Like, oh God, I really gotta work on myself if I'm just like him. If I ever feel myself like sounding like him, I'm like, I need to work on this. I need to write about it. I need to talk to my therapist about it. I need to know where it's coming from. And the more I go to therapy, the more I realize that a lot of what he expressed towards me had to do with frustration against things he couldn't control. He was frustrated at me because he couldn't control me. I was the one kid that he could not control. I wouldn't say I was a monster, but I had an independent mind from the very beginning. So like when he would come at us with the belt, my brothers would just take it and I would run away. I would fight him. I would fight him off with that belt. And it's like he hated that. He hated that I would not submit to his control.
That is what that was about. So basically, would you say you were the black sheep? Because I know I was the black sheep and the scapegoat in my family.
Yeah, I was the scapegoat definitely for my dad. My mom tried to protect me as much as possible, but women in those kinds of relationships, especially during the time I grew up, they didn't have a whole lot of options to get out of it. I mean, my mother she had a nursing degree and she did work as a nurse sometimes. But mostly she spent her time raising us. So she didn't have the financial means to leave him. So she had to stay with him. And that's something I've had to confront. Like, why did she stay with him? And I understand now that I'm an adult, that I'm older, that she stayed because she really had no choice. And because of the religious system that my father was raised in, she absolutely would have been a pariah if she had left him. She would have been ostracized not only by his family, but her own family as well. Because that happened to her early in life, and I understood the fear. She had 2 boys out of wedlock, my older brothers, my half brothers, and her family disowned her. So she had to live in a basement apartment. It was terrible conditions, and she had a friend named Arlene that worked with her at the hospital. It was the only person that didn't abandon her and stuck with her through the entire process and tried to get her as much help as possible. My mom and my brothers would not have survived if it hadn't been for her. So, yeah, she was a remarkably strong woman, and I feel like I could be bitter towards her, but I won't, because she didn't have a choice, and she did the best she could, and she protected us from him as much as possible.
So she was a good mother. She was a protector. She did what she could, what was within her control.
Right.
And so my father, a minister, okay, a narcissist, he had relationships outside of his marriage, and so that's
Right.
where I came from. Okay, that's where I was born. I'm the bastard child. Okay, so
Ooh.
my mother said, you know what, I can't take care of your child, so she dropped me off at my aunt's house and said, you take care of her. I can't take care of her. Okay, she couldn't because she was schizophrenic. So the best thing to do was to give the child away and at least give it to the father. He didn't have a choice because he couldn't deny he didn't have sex with her. Obviously, he did.
Right.
Okay. So here am I. So then there was I, dropped from being from abandonment into an abusive childhood. So here
Right.
we go. Okay. So my problem, because I told you in our conversation that I got triggered by you. And I did get triggered by you because, you know, the Bible was used to manipulate and control us, right? Okay.
Yeah.
He said, you don't do as I do, you do as I say do. Okay.
Right.
So I was confused because I'm like, you doing everything against what the Bible says, but you want me to follow what you say and what the Bible says. So why is there's a disconnect for me? So you get up in the
Right.
pulpit and say, okay, this is what you do, and this is what you do, this is what you do.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So when we leave this place, then we can go do whatever else we want to do. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
but you all, you can't do that. So what makes you special and what makes me have to follow this rules?
Nothing makes me special, and the thing about the rules is I don't have to impose the rules on you. I can tell them to you honestly and in good faith, but I'm not going to impose them on you, and I'm not going to say just because you don't listen to me that means you're somehow broken. You have your own experience that you've gone through. You've been shaped by your own trauma. It's not going to be the same as my trauma. So who am I to tell you that the holy path for you is this? I don't think that's the case. I mean, for me personally, it's a deeply personal belief. I'm not here to convert anybody. I'm not here to say, well, you're wrong for not believing in Christ. I don't think that at all, because I think we should have grace. I think we should have infinite grace. And somebody in the comments said that you should find a better church if that's the case. And yeah, absolutely. You definitely should find a better church if your church is telling you that you don't belong there, or that you're completely cleansed of your sins when you walk away from here. Or if you give us enough money, then all of your sins will disappear. And that's just not how it works.
Well, at some places it does. It depends on, okay, well this person, they tithe every, every week,
Mhm.
every month, and they give so much money, and but this person is gay, but it's okay that they're gay because they give this money, and so we're just going to absolve them of everything. If you accept one gay person, you accept all gay people. If you
Yeah,
accept
yeah,
you accept everybody. You don't
you have to
pick
accept
and choose.
every single sinner. You have to has to be accepted into your church, and it's a problem in my church. Like where if somebody that congregation or the deacons board did not approve of came into that church, they would be like, "This isn't for you. You can leave now." And to me, that's like, who are you to say this doesn't belong to you? Because Jesus himself said that, basically said it belongs to everybody. I'm not going to go into Bible quotes and stuff like that because we could get bogged down in that.
Right.
But at the same time, the final commandment of Jesus Christ at the Last Supper was love one another as I have loved you. And it's important that that's the final commandment. That's the last missive he gives to his apostles is love one another. I don't see any confusion in that.
Right. And also with communion, you're
Mm-hmm.
eating and drinking, you know,
Right.
together,
Mm-hmm.
and it's supposed to bring us this connectedness and
Right.
bring us at oneness.
Right. It's we're supposed to we're breaking bread together to establish a sense of community and to
Right.
be like the 13 people seated around that table. Um, not to be like the Pharisees that persecuted those people and said, "You're not pure enough. You're not good enough to be in the house of God. You have a disability. You can't be in the presence of God." And it comes from this idea about Leviticus that Levitical law was meant for earthly people. Like you can't come into the presence of God unless you're perfect. Yet the Bible countermands that when Jesus he talks that all the people that are imperfect. The woman who had endometriosis for 30 years and she touched his hem for healing, he could have said, "This woman's a sinner, stone her to death." Instead, he said, "Take my hand. I'm not supposed to touch you, but I am going to touch you." So, what does that say to the people that say you have to be perfect to be in this church? It completely contradicts what you're saying. And yes, the Bible is full of contradictions, but it, I believe in Jesus. I believe in Jesus Christ inside my heart. Like I believe it fully, and it's a consuming force inside of me. I don't necessarily believe the words of the Levitical priests because what was their desire? What was their desire here on earth? It was to hoard power and to keep power and make sure the wrong people didn't get into that position. But who were the wrong people?
Good question. Good question. Because if we look back in history, we looked how the Jewish people were treated. We look how African
Right.
Americans were treated. We look at how marginalized people in general were treated
Mm-hmm.
throughout history, and who
Yes.
profited off of our labor.
Uh, the so-called religious, the so-called believers who like they justified that with religion too. They justified slavery with religion. They called it the white man's burden is to guide the lives of people of different colors. And I'm like, that's not, you can't justify that as being biblical or anything like that. That's just you backforming meaning onto some and misinterpreted Bible passage. So I don't agree that I don't agree that owning people is ever okay. It's never okay. No matter what you think your perceived moral authority is, it's never okay to own another person.
No, it's not. We could
Yeah,
see that. We could see that remnants throughout history, and they're still trying to bring that crap back. We could see that through the when they own slaves. Okay, and part
right,
all this is a part of the founding fathers. Okay, our
right, yeah,
Declaration of Independence, our Constitution.
Like I honor the Constitution, but at the same time, the founding fathers, when they said all men are created equal, they were full of shit because some of them owned slaves. Like they did not believe all men were created equal. But over time, that has become the ideal that we are all created equal and that we all deserve freedom. And we tend to attribute everything to those founding fathers, everything good we have to those founding fathers. But I see different founding fathers. Martin Luther King Jr., founding father, right there. Because what did he do? He led with love. When police brought batons down in their heads, they didn't fight back. They showed the world that they were right and that these people should be ashamed of this system of oppression they have established.
Yes.
And I think that's what you got to do. You got to lead with love, and it all goes back to the Last Supper. Love one another as I have loved you. And I think Martin Luther King Jr. firmly believed that. Ralph David Abernathy firmly believed that love is how you win. And they borrowed the idea from Gandhi, who Gandhi was operating in South Africa before he ever went to India for workers' rights in South Africa. So the South African revolutionaries, Steve Biko, Nelson Mandela, they borrowed from the Gandhi playbook, and then that Martin Luther King was also borrowing from the Gandhi playbook. It's like this is how we win. We win through peaceful resistance. We show the world that this is not the way it needs to be. And in the case of Steve Biko, it's tragic, but an amazing thing happened when he was beaten to death in custody. And his friend Donald Woods, who was a white South African reporter, they had both been banned from speaking against apartheid. And this white South African reporter took the photos of Steve Biko's body out of the country and gave them to the press. And the world reacted. They didn't say, well, he deserved it. They said, oh, this is monstrous. We need to stop this right now. And that led to the collapse of apartheid. So it's like, and it was one guy's love, the Black consciousness movement. He said, we are free as long as we are free in our minds. And as long as we love each other, and as long as we continue to love each other, we will continue to be free. Because hate cannot countermand love. It just can't. It doesn't work that way. If you love your neighbor, then hate is you see hate for the sickness that it is.
So how are we going to stamp it out?
Fiona makes a good point. I don't think it matters who did it first. Somebody has to say, I'm sorry that this happened, and I'm gonna make damn sure that this is never gonna happen again. You know, and people are too easy to escape. They're too quick to escape blame. That this isn't my fault. This was done. This was the Persians that enslaved Africans. It wasn't my people. And I'm like, your people participated. Let's be honest about it. If you're of a Dutch background or English background or French background, your people definitely participated in this. So maybe accept a little bit of the blame. Say, hey, yeah, my people did this and it was shitty. And it's my job to make sure it never happens again.
Okay. Yes. And somebody else said something about Mary Magdalene. Amen, Fiona. And let's talk about Mary Magdalene's role. Okay. So somebody said something about Mary Magdalene. I don't know who it was.
Somebody did. Yeah. I think it was way back though. I don't see it, but yeah, somebody did.
Yeah,
I saw that too.
Right here. Okay. Survivor story. You see it? The greatest, most important commandment versus love God, ourselves, and followers. Mary Magdalene was written at the cross, and he appeared to her at first. And if women are put down, I won't go to that church.
Yeah, that's part of the apocryphal gospels, and people say like, oh, you can't listen to the apocryphal gospels, but the apocryphal gospels actually tell us some truth, some historical truth. Even though we can't confirm who wrote them, they do tell us some historical truth. Yes, she was present at the crucifixion. I mean, she certainly would have been, because she wasn't part of the ministry that scattered. She was definitely a part of the ministry, because they sold olive oil, and so she was definitely a part of the ministry, but she wouldn't have been part of the ministry that scattered. Like when they allowed his mother to go stand at his feet, Mary Magdalene would have probably stood at his feet too. There's historical precedence for that. So yeah, Mary Magdalene was definitely there at the crucifixion. So
There was a lot of powerful women in the
mhm.
Bible, and the most of the time the emphasis was put on the man, because our role was to be the bearer of
Right.
the children, okay, and
Uh,
to take care of the
yeah,
household, which is
but it
very
doesn't bear
important
it.
role.
They are important roles, but it doesn't bear out historically. I mean,
Right.
there were definitely women in that ministry. There were definitely women that were pressing olive oil and sewing clothing and things like that, like really contributing to God's good work, and even doing missionary work. Uh, say what you will about St. Paul, he sends Priscilla, a woman, to preach to Apollos, to teach Apollos the gospel. And that's why it's kind of silly that people say women are not allowed to teach in church. Absolutely, they are. Why would Paul send a Priscilla to talk to Apollos if that was not the case? And they're talking about a very specific historic context where the church was separated by a partition, and to prevent women from yelling out like, "Hey, what's going on over there?" in the same direction, they weren't allowed to know what was going on between each other. So that's where that comes from, that they have no privilege in the church. They absolutely have privilege in the church.
Well, they make you want to think that they don't. But now I heard something recently. I don't know if it's the Lutheran Church are going to let women become more involved in the ministry of the church, and I think it's
Mm.
high time. I think it's high
Yeah,
time.
I think that's fundamentally important, because I think there's this tendency to say that it would be better if one gender was in charge or another gender was in charge. I think when we work together, we are effective. I think because we do have different thought processes a little bit, and if we work together and we combine those different thought processes, think of what we could actually achieve, instead of saying, "Oh, I'm better than you, so you got to listen to me, you got to defer to me." Why don't you just say, "I don't know all the answers here, maybe I can defer to you. What do you think about this? What does the woman in the church think about this?" um yeah, that kind of thing.
I love that. And take it a step further, then we can also incorporate these same type of principles within our government system.
Yeah, exactly. Like, let's listen to each other, let's stop all the bipartisan bullshit, and let's figure out how to actually fix these things, because it's not all evil on one side and the other. There are some good people on both sides, and I know that's a loaded term because our president said that about Nazis, and it's like,
Yeah,
no,
right?
there's no such thing as a good Nazi. Let's dispel that
Exactly.
rumor right now. No such thing as a good Nazi. So yeah, it's like I don't know his name, but he says, imagine a family structure. If it was like a family structure, in our halls of power, where even if we disagree on something, we can come together. Like, I fight with my brothers a lot. I fight with my brothers all the time. But when something needs doing, we come together and do it. It's like, we're not we're going to put aside our bullshit differences for the collective good, for the basic need of the group, of the tribe.
That's what I call rational thinking. Okay, rational
Yeah, and
thinking.
that might surprise people coming from somebody called the street preacher. um I think a lot of people would see this name and be like, oh, this is going to be somebody who's irrational, and probably hates this group or that group. I don't hate any group. I think everyone is entitled to come to Christ, no matter their sins, no matter their background, no matter who they love. I think if love, honest love, is at play, then who are we to exclude you from it? Because it goes back again to that last commandment. Who's to say that one man loving another man is evil? It's not evil. It's if there's real love in play, how can you ever say love is evil?
I have no idea. I have no idea. And I wanted to make a point here about something because I read this and I wanted to discuss it.
Uh,
Okay. Survivor said the tongue honestly has the power of life or death. Many misogynistic misinformation informative churches
right,
only talk about Eve. And when
right.
I was on Facebook earlier and they said misogyny is when men don't like women, and I don't know because I know that narcissists, okay, have a problem with their mother, okay, and
Hmm.
that their mother didn't treat them like they were supposed to be treated. Okay. And
Right.
so people, they're walking around with these mother wounds, walking around. And I had a mother and a father wound. So we got all these people
Hmm.
out here that are not taking care of themselves as far as getting the help that they need, and then taking all of
Right.
these things out on other people. So that's what, when I think of misogyny, that's what I think of. That you come down on women so hard, you act like you hate us, and honesty, he does. And I think about the president. Do you really hate us? Did you have a really complex with your mother that is damaged you to the point of no return?
I mean, I believe so. He's passed through so many relationships in his lifetime. It's like he doesn't. I don't think he has that concrete value of respecting women. I don't think he's ever had that. Honestly, I really don't. When he called that reporter a little piggy, I was like, come on, dude. Like, if that was the street, and you said that to a woman in front of me and my brothers, we would not be cool with that. We would call you out for that, and we might even pop you in the mouth for it because it's
Yeah,
just
right.
it's wrong, right? I mean, I don't. I think that's the problem with him is that he was never held accountable for anything. He never had to be held accountable. That's what happens
That's a problem.
when you have money and your daddy gives you millions of dollars to start your own business. You've never had accountability. And how can you, and this is the thing I have with people in power, how can you claim to understand the plight of somebody who's starving to death if you've never been in that position once in your life? If you've never lived on the ragged edge, how can you claim to care about the poor? You don't know what the poor go through. There's that complete disconnect that he has. He's never been poor. He's never had to struggle. So why would he have compassion for us?
Exactly. And why would we turn around and keep repeating the same thing over and over and expecting different results? That's why we getting the same results. Okay.
Right.
Put it.
Well, I mean, it's this myth of like fiscal responsibility. Like a millionaire in the office is going to be good for us because he has fiscal responsibility. You know who actually has fiscal responsibility? The mother that has to budget $400 in food stamps a month. Like if
Yes.
we if we want someone really running the country who could cut the budget and say this is how we make things liquid again, this is how we keep our country going, then get the person who's had to clip the coupon and can say, well, we don't need, why do we need this $1 billion in the military when we could give that to social welfare? Like, where is this $1 billion going? And there's all kinds of funds in the military, like contingency funds for this might happen, or we might need to build these jets. And it's like, why are we doing that and not solving the problems that we have in our country now? There's children starving. Like they decide the best course of action is to cut the school lunch program. What,
That's not
what the
helping
what the hell are you
nobody.
defend? Yeah, what the hell are you defending if your people are starving to death? The threat's not going to come from outside, then it's going to come from within. We see that throughout history. The Haitian Revolution, the French Revolution, the American Revolution. If you starve the people, they're going to rebel against you. And that's just the plain truth of the matter. And everyone, like so many people think he's untouchable, that this is never going to end, that he's going to become president for life. But no, we have this ability to resist that's unlike any other ability that we have. Our ability to resist is prolific because so many oppressed people have been resisting throughout history. I mean, we could go all the way back to Rome and the Servile Wars and Spartacus and his gladiators, who were all slaves. decided to rebel against the Roman Empire. And what they did when they did that, it may not have had the effect of freeing everyone, but it made the Romans realize, like, whoa, maybe we need to pull back a little and relax the chains on these people, or else we're going to keep having these wars. I mean, they didn't do completely away with slavery, but they had the wisdom enough to say, maybe try something different. And we are so afraid to try anything different. We think that everything is the way it is and it should be static. And the Constitution is a static document. No, it's not. By the very nature of the Bill of Rights, which were added later, it is not a static document. It's an evolving document. And we're allowed to make amendments to it. That's built into the Constitution itself.
We need to remain cognizant of that. Every time they get into office, okay, and they have a bill in there they don't like, the first thing they do is start their legislation. Okay, we need to be
Right.
doing the same thing. We need to be proactive as well.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah, as soon as, like, I think it's very alarming that as soon as somebody says something bad about the Trump administration, like you find out their shows being canceled or their network is letting them go. That's way too much control. If we don't have a free press, then what the hell are we doing? And he has filed libel against so many free press outlets in this country. And it's like he does not want freedom of press because he knows that that's the voice of the people. Agree or disagree with it, it's the voice of the people. He'd rather we get all of our news from his selected, chosen outlet with his sycophants. So he'd love it if we got our news from nothing but Fox News.
Which, going back to censorship, so we have to put an end to these things now, or things are going to continually get worse. Okay. And so,
Right.
how do we bring this in, the spirituality and our faith in, to make these necessary changes
Well,
that need to be
I
made?
think the Christian needs to say, no, this isn't right. Like you post a picture on your Twitter account of you shaking hands with Jesus. Like, really, you're shaking hands with the person that's the savior of my soul, and somebody at church is going to say, oh yeah, I love that he did that because he is blessed by God. I'm like, by what metric is he blessed by God? Let's again go back to that last commandment. Is he leading from love? Is he loving others as Jesus loved us? Absolutely not. And the church will justify that, like, he's great for the country. Oh, look what happened here. He removed the immigrants, stuff like that. I don't think that's you can't say that you're a Christian and do stuff like that. And you can't deport people like that have not committed any crimes to prisons in Ecuador and expect them to get a fair trial in Ecuador. Really? Come on. That's just not the case.
Some of those people had never even lived in Ecuador because they
exactly. Like, you're deporting people to countries that they didn't even emigrate from. And why are the borders for immigration so closed off? Like, we have essentially an open border with Canada. There's some restrictions, but we have an open border with Canada. And Mexico, we're like, no, we can't have an open border with Mexico. And let's be honest why that is, because Mexicans are brown people. Like, let's be honest about that. We don't want Mexican people coming into this country because of the party line is drugs, right? They bring in all the drugs. Drugs come from Canada. Drugs come into Miami from Cuba, from the Dominican Republic, from South America itself, everywhere. And yeah. don't give me the shine and say that there's a war on drugs when so much points to you not actually taking the war on drugs seriously. Like, look at the crack cocaine epidemic in California in the late 80s and 90s. Where did that crack cocaine come from? It didn't come from some kid on the street who was just like, yeah, I'm going to go get some Colombian cocaine and turn it into crack. Somebody said, hey, the Colombians have a pipeline on this thing that's you could make a ton of money off of it. So
The government was making money off that. What they call it, the Contra something.
Yeah. There was we make money off of all kinds of dirty deals, and then pretend like we're the good guy and everything. It's like we're not the good guy and everything, and it's our responsibility as American citizens to make sure they know, hey, we're not being the good guys right now. Like I think you, me, I think people in this chat, they all want to be the good guy. I don't think there's resistance to that.
Right.
So why don't we insist on that from our leaders? Be a good guy. Just be a good guy. Don't call the reporter a piggy. Don't invade a country because they hurt your feelings. Don't bomb women and children. How about stuff like that? Like basic human decency. And we allow it to happen. And we say, well, it's just collateral damage. But how much collateral damage is too much collateral damage? Any collateral damage is too much collateral damage. Because what does collateral damage mean? What does it mean if you remove the euphemism? It means innocent civilians killed. And they say collateral damage because it sounds less murdery, I guess.
Call a spade, okay? You can't.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense at all. Okay. And then when you talk and when you persecute immigrants and you have immigrants, your ex-wives are immigrants. You know,
Yeah.
your babysitter is an immigrant. You
Right.
know, your
the guy mowing your
immigrant.
lawn is an immigrant. Yeah, who's going to mow your lawn then? I mean, if you're deporting all these people who do the manual labor jobs, and they're shit jobs, but if you've ever worked with Mexican workers, they're great workers.
Yes.
They're great workers. They always have this firm faith that I'm going to work hard enough and I'm going to send the money back to my family, and it's going to benefit us in the long run. And I everything that's been given to me, every grace that's been given to me has come from God. Like there's no shortage of Christian Mexicans, because you know it's when you're closer to the ground, when you have less trappings, that you realize that how much of a role faith plays in your life.
And they are so loyal. They will give you the shirt off their back, okay? And they will work for you forever. If you treat people with respect, dignity, and respect, they won't leave you. They will return. Okay?
Yeah, right. I mean,
exactly.
Like I've had so many friends, like American friends, that I would call up and be like, hey, I need help with this. And they're like, ooh, yeah, I can't do it that day. And if I call a Mexican friend, they'll be like, oh yeah, I can help. I'll be there in a second. It's like, it's a different work ethic entirely. And it's like, we call these people criminals, rapists, things like that. I don't call them that, but our government calls them rapists and criminals. And it's like, have you ever had a conversation with one of these rapists and criminals? They're pretty decent folks if you just talk to them.
Wait a minute. All he had to do is look in the mirror. When you talk about a murderer and what did you say, a rapist? Look in the mirror.
Yeah.
Okay. You don't have to look far. Okay.
Right. Yeah. And murder's done in degrees. What is war crimes are not handled in degrees. War crimes are treated one way, And I'm not gonna say it on air, but we know what the road of a war crime is. And this man has definitely committed war crimes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you have to, what they say, call the kettle black or whatever. Yeah. So you look in the mirror. Okay, which he refuses to do. Because then you have to accept. Right, you have to accept responsibility, and they never accept responsibility. What he does is he just flip the script and just blame it on somebody else. Oh, well, that was my secretary over there. He talked to him. He the one put the button, not me. Okay.
It's always somebody else's. It's always somebody else's fault. I reacted this way because you did this to me, or it's always somebody else's fault, and. Zero accountability, zero ability to say my bad, mea culpa. He's just, zero responsibility for his actions, and I think we know why that's the case. Affluenza. He's never had to work for anything. He's gotten everything handed to him since he was a kid, so he doesn't have any need for accountability. No one's ever held him accountable, so why don't we hold him accountable? Like we have that
Well, we
power.
well we didn't the first time. Hopefully, we do the second time if he lives out the term.
Mm,
I mean, heaven forbid. But
right.
how can we institute what when I think about spirituality though, I think
Mm.
about prayer and I think about meditation.
Yeah, I mean, prayer and meditation are so freeing. And I sit outside every day. I look at the trees. I look at the symmetry in nature, and I pray to God, and I listen to music, and it makes it all less of a burden. It makes it all feel like there's still magic left in this world, despite what's happening in the larger world. Like on the small scale, life is pretty good. I have great neighbors. My neighbors are super nice to me. They talk to me all the time. One neighbor brings us food sometimes. And it's like on the ground, we're good people. And I think we know that on the ground, we're good people. And we're just so busy fighting their battle for them. We're fighting their proxy war for them. Every time Trump sows division within our country, or when protesters storm the Capitol, we react to it and we fight each other. That's us fighting a proxy war, and it's what the major superpowers have done. They did throughout the 20th century was proxy wars. The United States didn't fight Russia or the USSR, and the USSR didn't fight the United States. The USSR compelled Turkey or Cuba to fight the United States, and then we compelled Turkey to come to our side and fight them for us. And it was just without once leaving our fingerprints on the trigger. And it's like, don't let them do that to us. Don't let them use us in this way to fight their little shadow war, where they just want division and hatred among the masses. I just and we all feed into it. We all post on social media. I call it shit posting, where it's like they just talk bad about people who are protesting and things like that. It's like, well, at least they have the guts to stand up for something. And these keyboard warriors that are like say that like, oh yeah, these people are cowards for fighting ICE because ICE is a law enforcement agency. And it's like, no, if the Gestapo came marching down your street, would you fight them? Yeah, obviously I would fight them. Who wouldn't fight the Nazis if the Nazis show up? And a lot of these behaviors are Nazi-like behaviors. I mean, I was watching video from Minnesota, and it reminded me of the Glasnost of that the Germans, where they destroyed Jewish-run businesses before the lead up to the Holocaust. It reminded me of that so much that I was like, why are people not horrified? And why does it not trigger more horror in us that this guy got shot in the head standing on a street corner with a camera? Like, why does that not make us horrified for that violation of his human rights? And then people get on the internet and they're like, well, he was resisting the officers. That does not give them a right to shoot him in the head. And we can
No,
go
it
back even
doesn't.
further. We can go back even further to Ferguson. That kid shoplifted something from a Walmart. And what happened to him? He ended up dead. Since when is the punishment for shoplifting death? It's all a mess. I'm getting a little passionate about it, but yeah, it's all a mess.
It is, and who pays for that? So that's
We
telling
do.
the police. That's telling the police it's okay for you just go out there and shoot somebody dead. It's okay.
Right. Yeah. What kind of precedent is that? What kind of standard is that? What are we showing our kids too? That just keep your head down and do what they tell you. I'm not going to do what they tell me. Fuck that. I won't do what you told me. It's from a Rage Against the Machine song. I won't do what you told me because it removes my ability to ask the question, why are you asking me to do that? Why are you asking me to turn in my neighbor? Like, you're asking me to be complicit in your crimes, and I'm not going to do that.
That's against everybody's rights. And then
Right.
that's a whole nother issue in itself. What are our
Right.
rights? Okay?
Right. What
Do we
are our
have any?
rights, and where's the ceiling on our rights? I don't think there should be a ceiling on our rights. And these guys that were kept in Camp X-Ray for an ungodly amount of years for perceived crimes that ultimately it was determined that they didn't commit, and they were held captive in Guantanamo Bay for so many years. What did you do to that person when you were holding them captive without a trial? You created the so-called
Waterboarding.
and you
Waterboarding.
create the so-called enemy of the state that you were fighting. If he didn't hate the United States before he got in there, he's definitely going to hate the United States when he gets out.
And if he get a chance, he gonna attack you.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what we perpetuate. Like, we arm the Northern Alliance to fight the Russians, and then the Northern Alliance becomes our enemy, and so we arm another group to fight the Northern Alliance, and then these two groups are fighting, and then the Taliban arise, and it all becomes a problem. And so our interventionist history in the Middle East does not work, and we know it doesn't work, but we just keep perpetuating it. And it's such a stupid reason we keep perpetuating it. It's because of oil. Instead of searching out alternatives to oil, we're like, oh, how do we get their oil, and how do we get it in the most expedient way possible? We make them destroy each other. Or we destabilize the region enough that we can, assert ourselves as peacekeepers and take it out of there. It's all about money and
Power.
yeah, money and power. And the thing about power is, like, no matter who holds the power, is evil congregates where power accumulates. It's impossible not to be corrupted by, especially the level of power that our president has. And some presidents have handled it with grace, the position, and this guy has no grace whatsoever. So it's time to reconsider what we're doing with this country.
Before it's too late.
Yeah. Before there's a revolution and people die in the streets. Like, we really need to stop that.
There's so many comments here. I don't know. I don't even know where you want to start.
Yeah, Guantanamo Bay survivor stories point out how they were tortured, killed, raped by guards, attack dogs. It was sadistic behavior that was inflicted on them. It wasn't just waterboarding. Waterboarding in itself is horrifying. Drowning someone over and over again is just, I don't know where we ever thought like that was the American way. Like I said, the American way in the beginning pretty messed up, but I think we've defined it better as we've moved on. Like I said, with King and Selma, I think we reached a better definition of what it means to be an American. And I think Americans, they help each other, and they lead in love. I think that's what we need to do. And if we're not helping each other and leading in love, then what are we doing? What are we actually protecting? I know that sounds like a cliche, but what are we actually protecting if we're turning against each other?
We're creating more chaos in the world. That's what we're doing.
Yeah, we're creating more tension, more hatred, and we're finding new reasons to hate each other. Just it's not the like, if you say you're doing it in the name of Jesus, that's not the Jesus I know. That's not the Jesus that I love and that I know loves me back. That's not, he does not say that, like, these people are your enemy. He says everyone should be loved no matter who they are. Extend love to everyone. Extend grace to everyone. If somebody hurts you, be the bigger man and forgive them for hurting you, and try to move forward in love. If they can't move forward in love, that's on them. That's not on you.
And forgiveness is really not about the other person. It's about you. It's about your ability to be able to let go of it and release it and be able to move on with your life in positive way. Okay?
Right. Yeah. Don't carry their darkness with you.
Exactly. Let it go back to them. Okay? And that's where we are. So faith is a way to let us see, to flip the script and to see things in a bigger light about what is yet to come. Okay?
Yeah. Remember that this is all earthly and we only have a limited time here. So why are we wasting it hating each other? I don't want to spend the next, however many years I have, 10, 15. I don't want to spend the next 10, 15 years getting punched in the face repeatedly for existing. And unfortunately for a disabled person, that's what it feels like a lot, is that yeah, every time you think things are getting better for disabled people, somebody comes along and says, no, you're not really worth what we thought you were. So we're going to cut this program. We're going to cut that program. We're going to make sure you don't get the same amount in food stamps. We're going to all but ensure that you starve to death. And
Well,
I don't want to live like that, you know?
by continuing to have these conversation and to continue to
Mhm.
cultivate and nurture these relationships, we can help each other to not just sustain, not just to survive, but to thrive. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a pray for Trump. That's weird. Yes, you should. I do think you should pray for Trump. I think that you should pray that he has his heart changed. Um, I don't think there's anybody that's really irredeemable. If you can, if your prayer leads to him changing his heart, like what harm has it done? If we
Nothing.
can't,
No.
yeah, if we can't do it the right way, which by this point I'm wondering why we haven't even started to do it that way. If we can't do it the right way, let's pray that he has his heart changed. It might be a futile gesture, but do it anyway. I
And
I have
right.
no hope for him, but the Jesus that I believe in does. Like,
To me, this is a lost cause because he has already sold his soul to the devil. So he couldn't return from it anyways. Okay. It's
that's the
signed,
way I
sealed, and
feel. Yeah,
delivered. It's signed, sealed,
that's the
and
way I feel.
delivered.
Yeah. I mean, if we're to believe the Bible, should anyone harm one of these, let a millstone be tied around his neck and him be cast into the ocean. He was referring to children. And you can't tell me there hasn't been abuses of children by that guy, because the beauty pageants, the Miss Teen USA thing, and yeah, I do
Grab,
think that man, yeah, yeah,
grab,
yeah, yeah,
grab her by the,
exactly,
exactly.
exactly, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's horrible, and yeah, I do think he's going to be held accountable by God, but we can still pray that somebody has their heart changed, because some truly awful people
Sure.
have had their heart changed throughout history. But again, I don't
Sure.
think it's possible for him.
Sure. Absolutely. So I really want to
Yeah,
thank you
pray
for
for him
coming
anyway.
in.
I was happy to
Absolutely.
do this. I was happy to
Yeah,
do
and I
this.
was too. I was too. Thank you so much. This has been so heartfelt.
Yes, ma'am.
I really appreciate you.
I really appreciate you for giving your voice and speaking out against these things. I saw you with Nick and them or Walter. I saw you with Walter the other day talking about this and resistance and things like that. And I admire that about you, and I'm so glad you're here doing that.
I appreciate that, but I'm getting a lot of pushback. But we have to do what we have to do. As I'm mix Intel said, we have to be the example. Okay,
Hmm.
we got to be
Hmm.
able to not only talk the talk, we have to be able to walk the walk.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Right.
There's going to be resistance, and it takes a profound act of courage to resist that, or to stand in the face of that resistance and just continue what we're doing. And I plan to do that. Like, even if somebody tells me that I need to stand down, or I'm not going to do that. I'm gonna keep moving forward in faith and love, and building a community and including people from my community in what I'm building. That's how I see peace. And I'm not interested in my own personal legacy, but I am very interested in the world we leave behind for younger people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Street Preacher.
Thank you for
You
having me.
know, you are everything. Thank you.
I
Thank you so
appreciate you. I
much.
appreciate it. You're welcome. Bye
You
bye.
too. And thank you all for your time. Bye bye.